What up?
What's up, fellas?
What's going on, everyone?
Hey.
Rock and Rolling Thunder episode 31. What's up, buddy?
31 already? That's crazy. It's 31 episodes. I'm 31. Today's going to be a good episode. I feel it.
I'll be 30 this month. I'm terrified.
It's coming. It's coming. So who's this guy we have? Well, over here. Who's this guy? Trevor? Are you from GTA, Trevor, or what Trevor
GTA?
are you?
What's wrong with me? No, I'm not from GTA. No affiliation with the Trevor on the game.
Okay. Wasn't sure. I don't have any other friends named Trevor, so I was just asking. But...
I actually played that game up to that point, and then I was like,
Nah, thanks for tuning in, man. Yeah, I wanted to bring Trevor on. I see you doing the YouTube thing, like me, but dude, man, you're really taking off, and you do a lot of stuff. I think me and Scott and Casey have a lot of questions for you. Scott, you got anything?
Yeah, I was just starting off, man. I was, we'll probably begin is like, how did you get into car audio? And, so we start to touch base on that. What got you into it? Maybe a couple of your first systems. And then how did you get into making YouTube videos? I was noticing on your channel, it looks like you've had a spurt or so within like the last year or so of really cranking them out and getting in depth and stuff, man. You really changed it up a lot. And like I was telling you before we started the stream, it's like it's a lot of the stuff that I have like no intentions of buying on, but I thoroughly enjoy like the in-depth reviews and stuff like that, especially the cheaper product stuff too, man. You do a lot of stuff like CT sounds and nicer stuff, but something about those like Walmart 99 special reviews just freaking gets me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the people want to see that. Me and Andy, he's over here actually. He messaged me because I did a quick review just kind of on those $20 ones a couple years ago. And he had a different process than I did. Of course, I was like, it can't be worth it. It cannot be worth it. So I did a quick video right then and there, and I threw it up, and it got flagged, and I really didn't take it anywhere from there. So this year, I'm like, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. So I went all in this year, a little more care to it.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
So you started doing the YouTube videos. What got you into car audio, man? And like, what were some of your early setups?
Okay, I've been in car audio for about 15 years, so I'm no novice to car audio. I actually worked in a body shop. I worked for a wholesaler. I worked with some buddies, and of course, I did a lot of it from home.
We're gonna have noise from somebody.
The web.
So one of us is doing a lot of noise.
Casey, what, you got the TV on again?
No, well, yeah, it was a little bit. Sorry.
I knew it.
Is
You
it
got
going?
popcorn right there too.
Yeah, I couldn't hear because I had the earbuds.
So about 15 years, you're saying, sorry?
Yeah, so about 15 years ago, I started with car audio. Buddy of mine had in high school, had 8 12-inch woofers in his back of his truck, kind of a wall, and he just threw them in there, and turns out his were like Planet Audio. And for years, I thought they were like, some really good stuff. And then when it got older, he actually sold them to me, and they were not very impressive. He just had a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
So I felt cheated after a while, because by that time I had actually got into it. I heard about it. I traded my bike for a Boss 1200 watt amp, 15 years ago.
Like a bicycle?
My bike, yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I traded my bicycle.
He almost said it.
Mongoose. Yeah,
Mongoose.
I didn't even have a car to put it in, and I for a long time I couldn't even figure it out. I was tinkering with electronics for well before that, and I was trying to get it to turn on, and I couldn't figure out the whole remote wire thing. And we're talking, I was young. I was like 13 years old at the time, trying to figure this stuff out. But I figured it out pretty quickly. So I started doing electrical repair for a company. Of course, I went to the tech center and I learned electrical and engineering in general, which I was well astute with many years prior. I started soldering when I was about 8 years old.
Oh, wow.
I picked up pretty quick on the electrical side of things. Then I started working on cars, and, car stereo is one of those, full-time things, between cars. It's not just electrical and mechanical, it's kind of both. So then I went to work for a body shop, and a guy comes in, hey, can you fix my stereo? No, we don't do that. And I said, I don't, it's not that hard. So the boss was like, do one for my car, plus I already had hookup with the distributor. He said, do one for my car and we'll see there. So he had this little truck, a Nissan pickup. So I did a stereo. It cost like $600. and he was very impressed. So then he threw some money at it. We started buying a bunch of stuff from the distributor, put it in, made a shop, started building boxes. Of course, I was watching the Steve Mead back in the day, the EXO.
Oh, yeah.
We all did, yeah.
Yeah.
I learned my first Big 3 setup. How to do the Big 3 by EXO's first video where he's doing like hammer crimps and electrical tape and stuff.
Yeah.
But luckily, I've always worked at a shop where I have access to, better crimping methods, etc. So the whole journey has been about how to do things better technique, using Tessa tape, not using regular electrical tape, how to eliminate noise, how to route things properly, that kind of stuff. So the funny thing is, we were talking the other day on a different live stream about these guys, Rockford Fosgate, back in the day, had their little traveling crew they called the RTI. They were, a couple of techs would go around to all these different shows and would do like a traveling, technique event. They called it Rockford.
They were doing like door panels, showing them how to do them. They were doing enclosures, all kinds of stuff. They even gave the dealers like Rockford branded templates for door panels, all kinds of stuff like that. It's pretty cool stuff.
So our body shop, we went in there and I went as part of that, and they, we got a whole care package. We had to pay for it. It was quite a bit of money, like $1,200 for the care package. But it come with all your router bits, etc. But now you can take all this stuff. You have templates. So I still do that today. I buy cheap eBay templates and I cut them up, and that's how I make some of my stuff. But I'm actually going to buy a CNC machine so I don't have to do all that stuff.
Oh, sick.
That's how I learned too. You get all the different templates and the different shapes, and you just router everything out. Or if you have a router table, if you're one of the lucky ones, you put it on the router table and hope you don't grab it backwards and it hits you in the balls.
It's not that deep, man. You're supposed to cut off everything but a little bit. You know where your lines are. It's more of handcrafting. And you stack your templates up and you ride your bearing half in between them so you can skip from one template to another. And I've got some examples of the tape coming off and digging into one. And I've got a whole shelf full of messed up masterpieces over here. So, I mean, it happens. So I used to do the door panels and custom pods. Actually, I have a video. It's not on YouTube, but on the Facebook somewhere where I was making a door pod or like a speaker adapter for a little 3.5-inch Meso 3-way. And I actually bored it out on my lathe. So I put the piece in the lathe and bored the hole out so it would be the right size, and I had the right hole saw. So
nice.
And it had to be right. So
So you're
That's
not
cool.
no skin in the game. So you've been doing this for a while then, actually.
I have, yeah. So the YouTube was always just like, I used to do RC videos, RC cars and stuff.
Don't tell Casey that. Don't tell these guys, man. Don't.
Oh, dude, there's one right here.
Up a can of beans.
Down.
Yeah, don't get me started, dude.
Losi right behind me. But I've actually since took all those videos down. Now I'm doing the car audio stuff. So,
Nice. We do a bunch of 10 scale RC crawling stuff.
Yep, I've got a.
Dude, it's so addicting.
I've got a Sen. Oh, that's cool.
Casey got that thing just on,
I got a T-Rex.
Right there. It's right there.
Now, dude.
Boba Fett.
See with a lot of it.
There's a guy called the
light?
Patina guy. You should look him up. He did all the body work on my TRX 4 kit. So it's
I had a TRX 4 that was a lot of fun. That's what got me into crawling.
Yeah, I've got an SCX10.
I'm back from the Dingo days, man.
Dingo.
What's a dingo? A dango.
A dingo is a off-the-shelf crawler, but it was the smaller version. It was a shorter wheelbase. But it had the same thing as what they call the honcho, but the honcho was like, I don't know, $50 more. So you buy a dingo,
I love the
honcho. You throw some links on it, and now you got a honcho. So
yeah.
We started out with 24th scale axial stuff, and then moved bigger from there.
Nah, I was always in the 10 scales. Where my first ever RC car was actually a T-Max.
Oh wow!
So I got a T-Max, blew it up, and I was like, man, I'm gonna convert this into electric. Everyone's like, bro, you can't do that. So I was on the forums, Ultimate RC and RC groups, and they're like, you can't do that. So I handmade a little plate and put a motor on it and put videos, and the whole world was like, boom, I've got a whole list of stuff I've done with the RC world too. That's I think it's pretty impressive. So
I think that's just for audio guys. It overlaps a lot of hobbies. So like anything to get into, I always try to get into something. I like learn everything I can about it, and then become like a mild connoisseur, and then I move on to something else.
That's terrible. It's terrible.
For like $100.
Well, I actually built a collective pitch quadcopter.
You built a what now?
It's called a collective pitch quadcopter.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, this is pretty cool.
You
It's
didn't,
like
you didn't
super
figure out how that
intelligent
works,
stuff.
and then hit me back and
The collective pitch where it turns from side to side, so you can like flip real easy. That stuff
Yeah.
is they use that same concept in a subwoofer that goes into a home audio
Yep, I've had
set
one
up
of
in
those
the
too.
wall.
So your coils
Oh,
don't
do you?
wobble. Get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it
Keep
spins.
it linear.
Yeah.
It spins, and then they change
Yeah.
the pitch for the different frequency. So the voice
That
coil
way
just
the wind
wow.
goes in or out.
mechanical linkage. That's all it does. It's really cool.
Jeez.
It's very
Is it
interesting. This is
like a
like
servo
really low
subwoofer or no?
frequencies too.
Yes, a servo subwoofer.
Yeah.
That's pretty much exactly what it is.
But there's different designs of servo subwoofers also. There's like quite a few different methods of them doing it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
the kind I had was actually like a fan. It spun, and you just hooked it up, and it just pushes in and out, and that's your cone moving basically.
Yeah, what was
So
the company in the '90s that did the Cyclone or whatever it was, or Tornado or
Yeah.
something like that?
That's exactly what he.
A lot
Yeah.
of people tried it, but I mean, it doesn't really work all that well.
They
There's
said
really-
they'll also, I forget the name of it. It was a major company at the time, and they had one that was great for making for reproducing low notes.
low
Yeah,
notes. Yep.
but
That's all
those
it is.
boat
So you
propellers in there. They said they were grenade. They would bottom out, and they would just grenade inside the housing.
They will.
Oh,
Yeah. Well,
wow.
when you have all the mechanical noise of the physical thing moving, it only produces low notes. I mean, it really doesn't last for long. The linkage just can wear out. You're talking the movements on that linkage is way too fast that a servo should ever have to produce. You might as well just have a speaker, and it's infinite baffle only, so it can't produce any pressure. It just cavitates. So there's no benefit to it.
And then you got a torpedo when it grenades.
Rip your RC car while waiting to get in the lanes.
Throw parts
Dude.
everywhere.
Oh my God! Waiting to get into what show was that last year? That the line was so long. Slamology pre-registration. That was a nightmare. They had all these cars lined up, and then they were like letting people go before others, and some of the people had been there for like 6 hours, dude.
Yeah, it was fucked. It was so
It
hot.
was so bad.
We
That's
get
always
there.
a pain.
Demoing the whole time.
Yeah, we're giving demos. We pull in after sitting 6 hours. My alternator falls off. Like, she falls off. Yeah.
I give up. See you later.
I'm gonna start doing some DB shows in my area this next summer, and
Where
you
you
can bet I'll
at,
have one
Trevor?
car or two with me.
What
Dude, you
town
need
are
to
from?
do it.
The what?
What
Where
town
you
are
at?
from?
So I'm in Missouri. I'm in Midwest or Southwestern Missouri. So there's
Oh, okay.
we got Springfield and St. Louis. Pretty much it'll be between Springfield and St. Louis, and maybe the Lake area. There's a lot of guys around here that want to do that stuff, but there's no one around here with a meter. So I just bought a meter.
Oh wow.
Oh
Meter.
wow. Jeez.
I bought
That's
the
crazy. I mean, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Because whenever I was in car audio, you know what I mean. I didn't really know anyone that does that now. It's like they're pretty far away. I mean, Pittsburgh, but they're out there. But that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
What'd you go with?
Yeah.
the what?
Yeah. What kind of meter did you go with?
No, a Turn Pro.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Well, I already have the Magnum software for other stuff, so I just bought their. I haven't received it yet. I'm
You
trying
could
to-
be like Dandy and use it for amp dynos now, too, while you use the AMM1 also.
Yep.
Maybe I mean that's the thing is too is the power side is one thing, but we gotta see the SPL. I have an RTA which tells me a lot of that stuff. It'll show me the response curves and stuff, and usually I could just go by 0 to is this loud or is it not loud? Because my RTA has a 0 dB setting, so you have.
We were at the Sundown show I was at the manufacturing place last week. I was talking to Derek at the Sundown Underground, or Unofficial, sorry. And we were talking about using enclosures. So let's say we're doing like a 6.5 comparison. Put them in enclosures. Use the RTA live to show the music frequency difference for, let's say, like mid-bass response and stuff like that for a speaker comparison. So you have like the RTA playing in the background, and you can switch speakers, and then the RTA live would show you the response difference between the speakers.
So that's actually what I've done on some mid-range testing that I've done recently. Use the RTA, and you can tell with the RTA immediately that certain woofers or certain mid-ranges just play lower, and you can see the whole bandwidth change between speakers.
Oh wow.
That was
That's pretty
crazy
cool.
about it because like the video didn't even do. That's the reason you had to do something like that on video. For instance, he had the Sundowns lined up, entry level and then mid and then best, and like on video you couldn't tell a large difference other than like a slight pitch change when you swap the speakers in the inside the room, you could feel the difference in the bass and the floor, and then just
Wow.
being through here, and it's like, man, this camera didn't do justice.
Never does.
Well, my mic here is a condenser mic, and I bought this one specifically to test speakers and stuff. So
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
this, I don't have all the equipment to just have dedicated stuff for everything, so I have to kind of use it to certain things for other things, etc.
Right.
Andy's
It'll,
good at
it'll,
doing that too, man.
heck yeah. Yeah, it'll definitely
Well,
do
you're going to
the
be
trick, you know?
YouTube famous, and you'll be able to get all the mics.
Yeah.
You and Andy, YouTube stars over here.
I want to see a
heck
collab from you guys. You'll need to collab on something like that.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
probably
that'd be
could.
tight.
We seem pretty similar minded. I'm
Heck
a
yeah,
little
man.
younger than him, so
Right.
he
Right.
may people favor.
So you're a lot
older
younger than Andy?
people.
Yeah. How old are you?
Me, I'm 27.
Okay, so you're not that much younger.
wow.
You're making me feel old. Come on, man. Come on.
I mean,
Right.
oldest guy. No, I guess he'd be the oldest guy.
I guess actually, yeah, Andy is the
Yeah,
oldest.
Yeah, I'm the
guy.
oldest here. Yeah, I was gonna say I got
You're
them
right.
both. Casey's closer.
I'm in July is when I turn 30, so.
I turned
Oh,
30
wait.
this month.
I ain't even close
Oh
to
no,
30
then
yet.
Scott's second. I knew you guys were real close to each shit. Damn.
You guys have all the you want, and I'll beat you by the time I'm 30. So
All that, dude, my life just gets better. Like, I just get better stuff going for me. My girlfriends get hotter. Dude, age is fine. Don't worry about it.
Right. Absolutely, man. It does suck getting old. It's like, man, I'm already 31. I don't even feel like I'm 31. But
Yeah.
like you said, life is better, man. And long as it's, you can wake up in the morning and you got a smile on your face. Can't complain, man. Can't complain at
Yeah, I
all.
heard that.
Time
Like-
flies.
like if you wake up and you're immediately grumpy, you probably should rethink some things.
Yeah.
I was like that, man, dude. And going audio full time this year and like doing the startup of the company thing has been like, I am so much happier now. Like just running around the shops, delivering product. Like every time I go to, so like I've been delivering product in the excursion, but I can fit it right. So I'll put it all, I'll pack it in the back in my seat up here, and I'll get to a shop and I'll be like, hey, we're gonna love this product, and they always send somebody to help me. And they always like shit their pants when they get in there, lean in, and we start seeing inside the wall. I'll make sure to turn the lights on and all that stuff before I get there. They're like, "Can you give me a demo?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I can give you a demo, bro. Let's do this." So like that interaction. Then obviously get them equipment. It's like this is so much better for my life. Like I can't wait for this stuff to keep growing. But and I want to see you guys grow too, man. Like I was telling you, I was watching your stuff all day today. I want to see like both you guys get some traction and then I'll see more stuff out of it.
Well, we've got SPL stuff coming up on my Facebook page, which is on my name right there, the All Things Car Audio. Oh man, I messed that up. How do I change that?
Cat audio.
How did you
Cat
let
audio,
him
sick.
whole time?
Okay, you
Name
getting
of
all
your
the money
I
Yeah,
like
out
cats.
now.
I like audio. I'm down.
And yeah,
Subscribe.
Yeah.
I'm in the excursion.
How did you let me do that? I'm blaming
You have to go. You know what? I don't know if you can change that
I thought you
midstream.
meant to do it, to be honest. I don't know.
Yeah,
I was
that's like
thinking-
cat audio
I
sounds
saw it
cool.
earlier.
Yeah.
General? No, I don't
I
know.
got
He's
it.
already
I
fixed it.
already. So in my group there, I've actually put some pictures. I've got a 78 F250 extended cab, and I've got a 96 F250 extended cab, both of which are going to get, somewhere between 3,000 and 9,000 watts.
Yeah, I seen your post. So you were trying to decide over like a flat wall or like a blow through, obviously, because they're both
Blow
pickup trucks.
through. Well, here's the deal. One's getting a flat wall, one's getting a blow through. I was kind of letting my peeps decide which one, would get which. Throw some ideas. I mean, that's the whole thing is I'm trying to drum up some ideas,
You know
Everybody's
what
got
sucks about Ford Life? Ford Life, one thing that sucks about Ford Life and base? Not being an EM and not getting alternator setups.
Why would that be a problem for me?
I guess if you make them, yeah, but like, this is a lacking support of multiple alternator brackets for
I
Ford
work at a
products.
machine shop. I can make whatever I want.
Touche,
wow.
valid
Yeah.
point there.
So I've got built these. I was doing some battery testing recently, right? And I built this little cell here. Well, I made
Little
all
headway.
these. I built all these on my, where I work at. So
That's
Nice.
nice.
cool.
yep.
That
do
looks
whatever.
exactly what Rob just posted 2 weeks ago. It's a nice little kit, man, for sure.
Bought another one. I'm gonna do like he did. Do what is that? 32 cells.
Being old made you feel old, Joe. That's funny.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do a 32 cell setup. The black one, everything I've tested so far, the excess power just seems like it works a little better. But
Dude, Excess Power is the best, man.
well, we got a headway coming too, so
You can pair the headway with it, though, can't you?
I'm gonna compare all of them in my video. I put a halt to my video until I get my headway cell in at the end of somewhere between mid to end of February. So,
Headway's a good value because for what you would spend, and like obviously you're gonna have some performance differences, but like the cost of like a 40 amp hour LTO or EH5 or even a C Max would be more. You can have a freaking big headway bank, and
well,
obviously.
from what I've determined, just on the testing I've done, by the time you're all said and done, dollar for dollar, your headway bank is going to be physically larger, which can be harder to contend with, and we'll still have lower ampacity, lower ability to produce that raw current. Whereas that little excess power, you run 2 of those, you run a 12-cell bank, and you can produce tons of power in an instant.
Sure.
It's the yin long, man.
I'd say probably
LTO.
different types of lithium.
Yes,
LTO,
exactly. But what I'm kind of thinking is the headway they just have a different purpose. The solar, long-term storage, I can see that. But for stereo, they're two. By the time you're up to the same package, you're bigger, and you're still not doing as much.
Yeah.
So I don't
What's
see
crazy about headway and the whole LiPo 4 whatever chemistry is it's like the most used audio lithium battery because it's like the first
like the
lithium batteries
safest.
that really were available.
It's super safe.
So now,
so when I was at the
over
test
the
school,
years, they just keep adding more and more different chemistry. So now we're finding safer and more powerful things like like LTO and like the C-Max and all the hybrid batteries and stuff. Like batteries are going to be crazy in 10 years, boys.
Yeah,
like crazy.
I've been dealing with lithium for probably 10 years. So, these are nothing new to me. It just there's a different environment when it comes to actually buying bigger stuff. Trying to push that envelope, and I don't know. It's hard for me to look at the headway and see them as something that's worth having.
I mean, they are a budget thing.
Yeah, if it's somebody that's replacing 2 AGM batteries and they got to can pick up a bank used or something like that, or they can get the cells in a hardware kit cheap, I recommend it, man. Especially if it's like low amp draw. If we're talking about somebody that's got an 800 watt sub amp and a small 4-channel or something like that, it's going to be a gain in a single battery solution. They're going to be on lithium, and it's going to have their car's going to start better, and the lights are going to be brighter. But I mean, obviously, if you're comparing apples to but you got to look at it too. The two, we've all been there and had the learning experience. So I bought a huge bank of AGM, and then next thing I'm like, man, for what I spent on this huge bank of AGM, I could have been lithium from the start,
I've been using AGM on my test bench, and I've been very disappointed with it because, it was fine for testing subwoofers and jump starting cars and hooking up big, high current draw stuff. But when I needed my voltage to be up, it was very disappointing. So scratched all the AGM and I went lithium for it. And in my testing, like I said, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to say any words, officially until I get the what is that brand? That other brand, the Limitless, and I want to see what it is because it's a different chemistry too. So
what kind does the Limitless do? It's not lithium iron phosphate, is it?
It's the LiPo 4, a lot of stuff. They have different stuff coming too, though. I, for instance, pulled out 560 amp hour of excess AGM 12 volt batteries and replaced
from old busted EH5.
Yeah, a used EH5 40 amp hour battery and everything but reserve. I gained in every aspect. Just a couple seconds ago.
Now I have to wait a little bit for it to charge back up, but I have to wait like 15 seconds. Between big tests, we're talking 5,000 watt test on a single bank. This is a 40 amp plus the little power supply.
I was going to ask you, what power supply do you have running? Because I know you're testing stuff way more powerful than I'm doing. 4,000 watt amplifiers.
I have multiple power supplies. I use them for different things. I've got a 2,000 watt continuous power supply, but it's 13.8 volts. I built that myself. I've got a 1,000 watt power supply, it's more than that. I've got a 100 amp continuous to about 150 amp maximum, but I can crank it up to like 17 volts. So it depends on what I need that for. And of course, I got that big 320 amp power supply. Runs on 240
I was going to say, yeah, wow. Okay, so you run it on some 220, huh?
Yep. And of course, I had to wire all that stuff up. It's no big deal. But I use them for different things. I recently tested the CT Sounds AT3K, their new 3,000 watt. Oh my word, that thing made 4,000 plus watts. and I was able to hold
Wow.
it steady with this system over here.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
pretty cool.
I think your voltage is only dropping to like 13 or like mid 12s or something like that, pulling that amount of current. That's why I was wondering on the power supply.
Well, when you
'cause
were doing that one, we were looking at. Oh, I didn't. That was a different setup. So I have all these different power supplies. I have all these different batteries. I use them in different situations, depending on what I'm testing.
Absolutely, man. That's
Heck
awesome,
yeah.
man. I love amp dynos,
For
They're
sure.
fun to watch, man.
I'm going to buy one, but I've seen some tests of stuff that I've done versus others. The numbers are the same. The process is the same. They get a little green screen. I get a little blue screen. So
Wow. I
How'd you
don't
get
want to
into
jump
testing
down there.
stuff? I didn't mean to cut you down.
I was just saying I didn't want to go down the rabbit hole, but how did you build a power supply? That's kind of like next level tier stuff right there.
when I was 12, I got a call from the FCC. The FCC. They come to my house. They said,
won't let you be?
oh man,
Dad
you have
joke.
no idea. Nope, these guys come up in black suits to my house with the local sheriff, and they said, if it's anybody, it's this guy right here. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, I had a CB base station, and I had this big antenna that was in the house. Well, I hooked it all up, and I just couldn't get very far with the little base station I had. So I literally took some old car audio amplifiers, some Class AB. There was a big Zapco that only had one channel that worked, a big 2-channel. So I cut off the input side, and I run an attenuator, and I run the output from the CB to the input, and I just use this thing as a big amplifier right out to the antenna. So I was talking to this guy in Mexico, and about 4 hours later, the FCC shows up.
That's pretty sick.
So the power supply was custom built. Everything was custom built. I used to take old CRT TVs and literally take a jigsaw to the circuit board and cut out everything but the power supply section and solder little taps onto it so I can get 12, 5 volts, 3.3. Just have little power supplies.
How many times you shocked the shit out of yourself?
1,400.
Yeah, 50 billion times. You don't even phase you at this point. You're like, oh,
Scott almost killed me.
Oh, hey, that's live. Let's go around that,
I don't get shocked that much. Scott, I was like tuning his amps, and he was up front in the truck, and then all of a sudden, I'm like taking I got an Allen wrench, and all of a sudden my hand gets stuck to it. I'm like, shit. And he's like, sorry, I pressed play.
AC voltage that I mess with, and AC voltage is definitely different than DC voltage.
yeah, it sucks.
So
That's awesome, though, man.
Have you seen those amateur radio guys that have those big ass antennas on their trucks and they like arc?
Well, that's the thing. I had one on my house.
electricity
It was on the house when we moved in.
So you can't just cut us off there. What happened with the FCC guys? What did they say?
Okay, so they showed up, and I was just a little kid. I was probably like 13, 14 years old at the time. And they're like, the disturbance or whatever. I thought it was funny. The guy across the road was coming out screaming because every time I keyed up, he can hear it through his TV.
Oh, wow. So that much interference, huh?
Yeah, so they come over and they're like, hey, you're polluting the airwaves. You got, emergency response, all this other stuff. They told me we can confiscate your stuff or we can do some paperwork. And I was like, I don't really need the stuff. It's all junk. So
that's crazy, man. You never hear about that. That's
they
insane.
Hauled everything out of my room, my bench, and my closet that had a circuit board on it. It went.
What'd your parents say?
Yeah, I was going to say, did your dad put you up to this?
My dad actually wasn't home. Okay. My dad drove over the road truck, and my mom was at work. So it's just me home, and they're like,
that's crazy. And here I felt bad for downloading LimeWire stuff. This guy's got the FCC knocking on his door for putting out 20,000 gigawatts through the radio waves.
There's no telling. It was probably like 700-800 watts. Who knows? It wouldn't hold.
You learned how you messed with stuff like that. Obviously you're an electronic guru. Now, when you're building your own power supplies and stuff, like what are the basic things you need to make your own power supply? Because that would be something cool to learn to do, or even a future video for yourself, man. I think that's really cool.
It helps that I was the hoarder of old electronics, so you can get you one of these right here. Put all your components in there. This is one of probably 30. And
we always have like 3 of them, and then all the pieces are everywhere anyway. But yes. Continue.
Yeah.
I have two in front of me for RC.
Well, because I use them for the RC stuff too. Actually, if you're on my live stream the other day, I was like, man, I need a receiver. So I went hunting around. Instead of a receiver, I pulled out a PWM generator. So I was trying to test the speed controller. So that's kind of where I'm at. When you're trying to test a speed controller, who needs a receiver when you have a PWM generator?
That was actually Andy put that up. He's running the chat tonight. I'm on my phone.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you have little kits and stuff like this, a couple dollars a piece, they help get you started. They help you get you learning. Eventually, you'll have a whole setup, where you get just racks of multiple different ICs they've collected over the years, timers, stuff like that, transformers. You almost need something like this when you're trying to build something, but you can't just, without a kit, really, you can't just start with the schematic. You can go with the schematic, and sometimes, like on Fruit, you have a schematic and like a parts list. And they'll have a link to, say, DigiKey, and it's all in a cart already. You just buy it.
Okay. So you're pretty much like buying the pieces, like almost like a board, putting the board together, the transformer, the basic stuff, soldering, and just literally building it from the ground up just by parts. So is it pretty much what you're saying?
So I did electronic repair, and this local pawn shop was.
Oop, dropped it.
The web?
I dropped my phone, sorry.
My mom was buddies with the owner of the pawn shop, and they said, hey, can you fix some electronics? And one of them was a car amp. Well, I've seen those before. I actually have one. I've never turned it on, because I couldn't figure out the remote wire for many years. So it just sat there. And they were like, yeah, I can look at them. Simple stuff, timer circuits, you got a power supply in, you got some rail voltage, and you got some inputs that makes magic happen on the output side. I think this one had a power supply. Fixed it up, no big deal. Gave it back to them. They're like, hey, you did a pretty good job. Can you fix a couple more? So I got some other stuff in. And I started noticing all these different brands and stuff and different issues. So I was working on car stereo before I was even into car stereo.
Wow.
So I repaired an amp for a guy. This is what pushed me up the curve. I repaired an amp for a guy, and he was like, hey, you did a really good job. I said, hey, you mind if I just have one of these as payment? He said, oh, you don't want that. That goes in the freebie shelf, the used bin.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, come over to my shop. So I went over to the shop, and by the end of the day, we put two 12s, some Rockford Power 6.5s, a little 3.5-inch touchscreen radio. I mean, the whole thing, all the wiring, and then that started the journey right there. He said, if you don't me, you got to have good stuff. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was the next question. Do you know how to repair amps? So obviously you do. That's cool, man.
I've done it for many years. I don't do it anymore. Now I'm like more of the design side. I don't really repair them. I've got a couple that I need to repair, but I don't really worry about it.
So you do PCB design and everything now for amplifiers now too, also as a hobby?
I can do all of that. Yes.
Wow. Sick.
It's one of the many tools in the bin.
That's
awesome.
Are
you like man. Tony Diamore's like illegitimate offspring or something like that?
Well, I talked with Tony one time. I said, hey, how accurate is the AMM1? And he's the one that actually told me that the DD1 is literally just two AMM1s and two DD1s and some series parallel resistors, some banks. I mean, it's literally just a whole component I have right here, just in a package. So when I recently reviewed, another guy did an amp dyno on the 3000, and he got within 30 watts of me. So my 4070 versus his 4050. So
wow,
they're pretty accurate stuff, and they're expensive little dudes. Man, they're expensive, but
that's awesome, man. So you've been in the community for a long time. What kind of system you got in your daily? That's what I want to know.
My daily. So I was asked this earlier. I run two of the SO8s on a 1400.1, mainly because that's the biggest they had at the time that would fit in my car. I drive a hybrid, so people are like, can't put a third in a hybrid. That's not true. I got 2,000 watts RMS in my hybrid. I got a 125x4, so like a 500 watt 4-channel. Got MESA 3 ways in the front and 2 ways in the back.
Sick.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So you don't always need big woofers and walls of subwoofers to enjoy car audio.
All my amps hidden. Everything's hidden. See anything? The woofer's sitting in that weird space on top. There's a weird space on top of the battery, 11 inches by so many inches. It's just a totally useless part of your trunk space. And that's where my woofers sit. So the rest of my trunk, totally useful. And my 6x9s on the deck were subwoofers from the premium audio. Well, now they're aero ports. I built custom aero ports going.
Oh,
So
wow.
all the bass from the trunk ports right off the back glass right to the front.
Bro, you need to do a video on your car, man. I need to see this.
It's on my YouTube.
Oh, wow. I missed that one. I got to check it back out.
I need to make an updated one, yes, but I do have one on there, and I'm actually going to redo it here soon because they come out with the new 2300, the new amp. So I'm going to run that, and I'm going to run 3 mesos.
That's cool. So you almost have like a 6-order in your car, with the airports flying through or whatever. That's pretty cool.
It's basically a weird series tuned 6-order.
Yeah. I mean, it works. You know what I mean? It's the same thing as you put your seat down. It's not tuned or anything, but it sounds better.
So it technically does have a tune that you can theoretically calculate. It's pretty low. It's probably somewhere between 15 and 20 hertz. But lower than you need it to. But it does help a little bit. Like I said, I haven't done a meter on it yet, but it's somewhere around 140 decibels. Maybe a little.
That's not bad. It's not bad for, what you have cone area power wise, musical build.
Yeah, for a daily rig, 140 dB is pretty good.
100% musical build. So I'm gonna run 3. My recent live stream, which was a total crapshoot, but it was a lot of fun. I designed just a box for 3 of them to go in the same spot. So
Sick.
3 meso 8s at 0.67 on a 2300.1 that I dynoed at 2500 watts at 1 ohm.
The AD one's cool. I think it's just for the video content and stuff like that. I think people just like seeing the screen, seeing the counter. They know it's just like sample, for example, too, is recognized. They see the 81, they know like this ain't effing around, dude.
Right.
But you still have to and you still have to have the other components because it only runs off 12 volts.
Sure.
You have to have the rest of the setup, or your numbers ain't going to be any better.
I like that you've got the resistive load bank too, and obviously that still leaves you open to using reactive load. I want to see you guys show. I want to see one of you knuckleheads do an amp dyno video and show the same thing, a reactive load and a resistive load, what the numbers look like.
You can probably definitely do that and get close.
Like he does with the reactive load when he dials it in, with the tuning frequency and wiring it down so you can get that lower. It's the same thing. The AMC is the same thing. It's going to make
no. I was saying, let's say your nominal impedance versus a nominal impedance wiring versus a resistive load. Obviously, I'm aware of what it's going to do, but obviously, a lot of people are not aware of that.
Oh, you mean like what power am I actually seeing when I wire my amp at 2 ohms?
But there's a bunch of videos of the guys with AMM1s that are doing that.
Sure.
There's already a lot of people know they're no strangers to the fact that impedance rise will reduce your power, which is not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's efficiency and rise go hand in hand. But again, I still genuinely feel like there's a large, vast amount of the community that do not know that still, to being honest with you.
No, I was one of them. It's like, it got 2,500 RMS at 2 ohms. That's how many watts my system has.
See, we get jaded by it. We assume there's like common level denominator of knowledge base, and it's really not there, man. And it really isn't. Like, I even see this in a day-to-day, even going and seeing professionals, man. Like, and I'm not going to even name drop, but I go see a professional, and the guy's trying to give me instances on why 10s sound better than 12s and stuff like that. And they're like, and this guy owns the shop, bro. Guy runs the shop, dude. And I'm like, yeah.
Listen, the 10s are punchier, man. 12s are for regular bass, 15s are for that low bass. That's how it works.
A little bit. I got 8s that play down to 28. So, I mean.
That's why I got an 18 for all that wasted information, man. I want them lows.
Right? Yeah. No,
so that's one thing I've taken for granted is taking and knowing, not realizing that people, even an average person that's in the car audio doesn't know about impedance rise, doesn't realize how it goes hand in hand. The voltage drop and the power clipping, all that stuff. I mean, a lot of people don't know that stuff, and I'm not saying
a lot of them really don't care either, as long as it beats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're just happy with the everyday daily beater setup.
Well, for instance, I'll give a good example. Like I was waiting to see a shop owner this last week, right? I'm sitting down and the guy's with a customer. Well, he's wrapping up with his customer. I'm waiting. Well, another customer comes in. He's got 2 speakers in his hand. Okay, the guy's going, oh, this one died, and I kept playing, and this one other died after that. And, they're both toasted. Both the speakers, he's like, what happened? He's like, oh, I played it too loud, too long. And the shop owner just goes ahead and just swaps out the customer subs and just sends him about his day. Here you go, sir. Which is fine.
wow.
But it's like at some point you've got to have the conversation of like, hey, we might need to take a look at the tuning on your amplifier. Like, hey, let me show you something. With the distortion detector,
Yeah.
I got some dirty signal going on, bro. That's why they died.
Well, that's why I did the video on this right here. So I actually bought this just to do the video, just to show people that you can have a meter that does all your normal functions plus an oscilloscope for about $100. And actually, they're less than $100 right now.
And that's a really nice resolution screen on those too. A lot of people do those. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
like those. Go ahead.
I bought 8 or 9 different oscilloscopes before I found one that I could actually recommend to people.
I know. I was going to say, a lot of people ask me about the cheaper ones. So you like that one? That's like pretty much the best bang for the budget that actually works. It's accurate.
Yes. So you'll notice that about me. It's not how cheap it is. It's not how good it is. It's there's a balance between the two. So there are more expensive than this that work a little better, but you're not going to get something cheaper than this that's going to do all this functions as well as it does. Look how nice this screen is. I mean, you just can't deny just how the resolution on this thing.
Yeah, it's a nice screen.
Right.
So,
I like
plus
those.
it does
I like
everything
those
else.
things, man.
I've seen that one before
like,
somewhere else. I've seen that.
It's
Other than
auto
your
range.
videos, I've seen
talking
it.
about oscilloscopes, because another thing that a lot of people don't realize, and this goes beyond impedance rise, is that if you're running multiple amps, they're not always going to be perfectly in phase. And people think, oh, it's either going to be regular or 180, and a lot of them, they're like, why do I have a knob? And it's like 2 amps can be 3 to 5, or so degrees out of phase. And if you have a two-channel oscilloscope, you can phase match and gain match those amps where they're working in unison, and usually leads to some gains.
I have
I just got a Snap-on Vantage, an older Snap-on Vantage 2-channel, and it actually worked for the amps fine. It's a 2-channel, it's auto ranging, so you literally just hook it up, positive and negative, and boom, it's done.
I have a 2-channel Snap-on.
I need it this weekend bad.
Mine's a Modus Ultra or Modus.
Yeah, the scan tool. Yeah, I was a Snap-on dealer for a better part of a decade.
So it's a scan tool, but it also has a 2-channel oscilloscope. So that's what I use for that. And I used to use that too, which you're not going to spend $2,000 on something to set your gains with.
Oh, no, I used it for convenience. It was in a used tool section in our warehouse. Is why I got it.
I use it to set gains. I use it for all kind of stuff. But I'm saying I can't say, oh, yeah, hey, Mr. Newcomer.
Go buy a Vantage.
Go buy this thing, But I can say, hey, you've done 3 or 4 systems. You might want to invest in something like this. Oh, you want to have around town. You want to be the stereo guy. Start with something like this. It'll take you really far. My first oscilloscope was a big bench top, ugly thing.
Yeah, I hate those things. I worked at stations. We'd have to roll it out on a cart, like a TV cart from when you're in.
No, I had mine had a,
yay, the O-scope, yay!
Yeah, wrap all the cables around it and drag the extension cord out there. I've done that for a long time.
You're like, fuck, another Audison install. I got to go get this stupid oscilloscope out.
The thing is, too, man, I can go to shops, bro. Like, I was at one giving a demo 2 days ago after I sold the shop some product. The lead tech's in my truck, right? I'm giving him a demo. He sees the DD1 in the floor. He's like, oh, man, is that one of those SMD tools? I'm like, yeah, it's a DD1. He's like, I got to get me one of those. I'm like, bro, you're a lead install tech at one of these shops and you don't do stuff like these, bro? Like, what is going on in this place?
I just turned the gain up till she sound good. Now back off a hair.
I've been doing it for years by years.
Okay, so here's the thing. That used to be fine back in the day when everything was higher sensitivity and lower power. Your chance of doing stuff was a lot lower, and your odds of hearing something was a lot higher.
True.
Whereas nowadays you have totally the opposite. Your odds of damaging something is a lot higher, and your odds of hearing the problem is a lot lower.
I can tell you this. I cannot tell if I did not have the clip light on my bass knob, I could not audibly tell you my bass until you start smelling them or it's the voltage.
Yeah. So I have a video of my bass knob from CT Sounds with my oscilloscope hooked up in unison, and as soon as the light starts to blink, I mean it's registering like distortion. It's not even registering clipping.
Oh wow.
So when you see the red light come on, you're not necessarily in the danger zone. You're just at the edge of it.
Sure. I like to let it. I'll turn her up about where it just kind of flashes, As long as I see steady hard.
If it's staying on, I've got a problem. But also, I set mine with the 12 dB overlap.
Sure.
So I can crank mine way up. So normal listening, it's only about a little under, a little over halfway up. And then depending on the
Yeah.
songs, I listen to so many different types of music. I'll adjust it, to get it where
Right.
I want it.
I see
Usually,
the clip
whenever
art
it
as a
sounds
challenge.
really, really good, and it sounds a little too good, you're probably
Yeah.
clipping just a little bit.
It's,
Yeah,
No,
I
it is
see it as a
nice,
challenge. How long can I keep the light on?
Yeah, I keep a lot of cycles on too, man. Dude,
this
I
little
love
light
it.
in mine, yeah.
Take you some older 70s rock, 80s rock, or like soul music, stuff like that. Give her a little punch to the sub EQ. You're like, this is
Mhm.
freaking jamming, bro. Oh,
That's what I do, right? When you play
dude, I
rock
can make
music-
Fleetwood Mac Dreams flex the windshield, not rebase, dog. And I'm like, this is smacking, dog.
See, I don't listen to rebase music either, so.
Oh,
and I just
it's
have
like
no problem.
99% of my music's like 20 to 29 hertz rebased.
Yeah,
Now it is.
I'm gonna build a wall in my truck. I'll get into
I
that
was-
kind of stuff.
I'm forced to play rebase music and Cookie Monster at least. Otherwise, yeah,
Heard
rebase
that.
music is not my favorite. I mean, there are some pretty good rebases I'll play on like a stock system. It's just, I like how they did it and it sounds decent, okay. But yeah, when you play super low like a lot of us do, and it's just, you can't play normal music, we're just not tuned for that. But
Yeah.
Well,
that's how
I'm
car
tuned.
audio is,
I can't even play most of my old stuff. It's like, when I was before, I was like 35 through 45, and I'm like, oh, this is terrible. It's so.
I literally made Scott a USB with like 1,000 songs, and they were all like 30 to 45.
It's terrible now. There's like, I have to scroll
Kind of
for
stuff.
9 years. There's like 2 songs that do 20 hertz on it. I'm like,
So my
I just snuck a couple in there. 'Cause before it wouldn't play low, and so I'd sneak a couple like 20 hertz, 15 hertz, and he'd be listening to music. He'd be like, "Whoa!"
I tune my box at 39 hertz, which seems crazy high, but you got to realize the FS of the woofers around there. But the extension, the low end extension, is plenty fine. Like I said, down to 28. So my F3 is just under 28 or just over 28 hertz. So I can really, my F4, F5 is around 28, and it works.
you
just
probably,
fine.
I mean, I'm tuned to 43 hertz, and I can play, like 19 hertz to, 90 hertz, whatever,
Yeah, a lot of people don't know until you model it in software. You're not going to know what you're actually going to play.
I didn't realize too with the fourth orders though, man, and it's really you got to have power. You got to be power in the fourth order, but to get the low end extension.
So let me ask you this though, because this is one thing that's been boggling my mind for years. I know in a fourth order you have your center frequency, and then you have the port on top, and you're supposed to stack them using that gain. But here recently, I've been seeing people shift the porting frequency from one way or another, giving you more of like a sixth order type curve. Is that a thing?
I mean, that's
it's
how
kinda-
they tune them. Like you'll have your bottom tuning and your higher tuning, and you can kind of adjust it to where you have like a straight bandwidth. And it's the same thing with the six. The six just normally are naturally going to have a flatter curve. The
Yeah.
fourth order just give you a little more output at their peaks.
From my understanding, the low end extension is going to be from the seal chamber, obviously, and then you can tune the high. That's going to be the higher frequency port. Is going to be your port tuning, and then it gets into like half wave and quarter wave and stuff. Like for instance, I can't demo with my truck. I have to demo with the doors down, or I lose a whole octave plus of tuning. Like I can't play 20 to 30 hertz or whatever with the windows up, or if I open a door. So things change big time. And this is still a huge cabin. You know what I mean? There's like a whole another row behind me here. The
Well, you can't extend.
My problem is that if I roll my windows up, mine's going to play it whether the doors like it or not.
Yeah.
The doors are fucked.
So, what, you say the low end extension comes from the
Back doors are
field side of
disintegrating.
the enclosure?
Yeah, the low end extension comes from the sealed side of the enclosure.
So that's counterintuitive to everything that I've ever designed to.
I could be
I
incorrect, but
wouldn't
that's
say
my
low end
understanding.
extension. I would say like the lower tuning.
So when you say your center frequency, are you talking about between the two between the two pass, like the band passes? Are you talking like your center frequency of that?
The center,
Or-
if you pull up a sealed enclosure, the apex of the curve theoretically is your center frequency, the center frequency. So if you take the apex of the curve and you port at that frequency, it gives you the bump, and that's how you get that iconic, double.
The dip in between the two peaks.
Well, for a fourth order, it gives you one peak at like plus 6 dB by adding the porter side on top. But if you shift that one way or another, it sounds terrible. So
You know what's crazy though?
Right.
My peak changed when I added power. So I had the two Team Pi 7500s, and I was peaking. I'm
Your
tuning
sub's
at
also
43.
broken finally too.
Touche. I was tuning at 43, peaking at 45, and then now with the Assault 12K, I peak at 40 hertz. That's why I like dropped like 5 hertz of that. It was my peak frequency was.
You don't think it has anything to do with those Chinese amps being?
The Wuhan transistors.
So that's the thing about those. You know, EMF Audio sells those same amps with his name on it.
I
But
already
he's
know.
Wow.
But his pricing is so much higher, and everyone's like, "You're just selling the same stuff." Well, not really, because you can get into the Wuhan market, you know, the Shanghai market, and you can tell them you want higher quality transistor.
Oh, bro, we're
Exactly.
fully aware on the Team Pie.
Yeah.
We know that.
Very
Yeah, we
aware.
know pretty well. Yeah.
The AUG amps are definitely not the
Well,
off-the-shelf model.
I refuse to entertain the idea of the Team Pie, except for just recently. I was like, hey, what if I get like a 2K and a 4K and I give them away on my little spinny wheel?
Bro, I'll tell you right now, this is the one Hi-Fi signed. I've got this Team Pie 250x4, the Power Hog amp. You can't even see it now. It's the one Hi-Fi Mega signed. That amp has never wind protection. I go all day demos on it all day long. Never had a cough out of it, bro. That's the Power Hog RZ 250x4, which is like it was a Team Pie build amp. Fucking
And he
fantastic
clips the
amp.
fuck out of it constantly.
Well, I mean, I don't know much about them, but I thought about getting. It would give me an opportunity to offer a higher wattage product, you know, to one of my viewers, because typically I have like smaller, cheaper stuff.
Sure.
So what am I going to do for big stuff? Because everything's out of pocket for me. So what can I do for something big that won't be as big of a hit? You know, so I thought about maybe entertaining the idea of one of those versus, because I could buy like a Smart 3 and a Smart 5. That would work too. But I'm over here preaching that the Smart 5s and Smart 3s sound like terrible, and they do. So
I'm not at liberty to say names though of who it was, but I was recently at a place and they have a large R&D researching facility. Apparently they got sent a Team Pie 7500 and like so and so's car needed an amp or whatever for a temp setup or whatever. They were apparently throwing that thing on fucking wanting like 0.33 and just giving it the beans and it was taking it like tank.
I mean, they're very highly built, overbuilt amps for what they are.
Yeah,
they're all generic designs. It's generic layout. Everything's generic about it, which is cool. It's fine, you know. And when the price to performance ratio is so high, you know, especially for people that are, you know, messaging them directly and trying to do stuff like that, you know. But actually taking that and selling it, you know, producing it on the market, the steam.
Oh sure. Well, Casey and
I'm about to give it a try.
Yeah,
Huh?
he has 4 Team Pie 7500.
I'm doing 4 7500s on 4. I know this is going to sound backwards, but 4 of the 7500s on 4 Pride ST18s. So you have cheaper.
Yeah, but then you can build a bigger enclosure and be a lot more efficient too, and probably just be as loud as you are now.
I mean, they're 5,000 RMS, so I'm doing a 7500 per sub.
And you're going to wire them at half ohm or something?
No, they'd be a 0.9.
0.9. Okay, so you
I'll tell you a secret.
Bottom.
Back in the day, because this is what pushed me on the CT, was trying to find this balance. I was running like Polk audio equipment on like SoundStorm amps, because even after you account for the bogus number that's on the packaging, some of those SoundStorm and SoundStream amps are still making decent power for the dollar.
Dude, those downstream Rubicons were the shit. The big long blue ones with the
I'm talking after that when they got cheaper, but you know. But I would run cheaper amps because the dollar per watt ratio was there, and they weren't totally terrible.
Right.
So I spent many years of my life trying to find where that dollar per watt ratio is. You know,
and that's why I bought a whole bunch of kicker that's when I was like, I can't afford the rock for stuff like you're for, but I bought the shit out of some kicker.
Now I had some kicker. I had the 2500, the ZX 2500, and I had the bunch of KX amps, and I mean the ZX 2500 at 2 ohms. It's a powerful amp, but it was very expensive.
Very big too. Very big.
At the time, you got the Warhorse, which is a big amp, but it has a weird way that it produces its output. And every time I heard it, I wasn't impressed with it.
They said they have a unique sound too for the overlap.
Yeah, well, it's because one terminal does everything below, and the other one does everything up, and so it has a weird, like,
little pause. Yeah.
In the middle. So it's a doom. It's not fluid motion.
I don't think it was meant for music, really. Probably just literally to put, 218 solo X's, do a 60, go home.
Yeah, but if you're going to do just for power, those little tar amps, they sound terrible. And I'm an SQ guy first and foremost, but they do make numbers and they do make sine waves.
Right.
It's hard to get something more expensive to be more appealing when all you want to do is make sine waves.
Right. And I hear that a lot from people that actually know what they're talking about. It's just, yeah, for the price per dollar per watt, the Terra amp is the way to go. But if you do know what a sound wave and how music is supposed to sound, it might not be the amp. Even though the power is there for the price, might not be for you. You kind of, like you said, find that middle road. Where it's like you've got good quality for the power for the price.
What they don't think about, though, is that they're not getting that power, though, okay? Hear me out, though. So let's say, for instance, you might have an amplifier that does 5K, on certified 1 ohm, but once you add in, let's say, for instance, if we're gonna use it on mids and highs, okay, or something like that, or even a crossover slip or a subwoofer, once you start applying those crossover slips, especially on the mids and highs, you're cutting that power way down, like way down. So like once you put a high pass slope on it and you're raising it up, you're getting nothing of close to what that amp's supposed to make its rated power at, and so you're more likely better off not getting that watt per dollar. And that's leaning more towards the mid and high side, but in a lot of ways.
The one thing that makes this Tar Amp Smart Line kind of defeat that is the fact that they do have a regulated power supply. Mm-hmm. So they will compensate for that. So they already know that. Plus, they have their little clipping lights, so you can literally just run it to the gills, and you can run full power all the time. They will produce their power, especially at 1 ohm and 2 ohms. But the problem is people have this misconception that the amplifier will play the woofer. But the problem that people don't understand is that the amplifier will get the woofer to move. But the amplifier, actually, when it follows the curve, must stop the woofer as well. Right. So it's moving it, then it will bring it back, it will stop it. Then it will move it the opposite way. So it has
like a hang time.
Well,
isn't that dampening factor? That's dampening, right?
That's the dampening factor, yes. And that is the ability for the transistors inside, which the Tar Amps has very few. They're very high current transistors. But what they do is during the dead band, they shut the transistor off. And all that back EMF bleeds to nowhere. Then once it picks up from center again, it turns it back on. So a Class C amplifier will move positive to negative very forcefully, whereas the Tar Amp kind of just says, go that way, go that way, go that way, go that way. That's why they sound like terrible crap. They cannot stop the woofer. So that's why
like wasted information to me. That's what it sounds like. Sounds like wasted information to me.
Why?
Like the Terra amps.
And that's what a lot of people don't understand too. So like, full bridge, not even just the Brazilian design as a whole, is you got one side, when a Class D or A being like that, you have a switching power supply. So that positive and negative is going back and forth. Okay. On a full bridge amplifier, you have your waveform curving, splitting that down the middle. One side of the amp's doing one half, the other side of the amp's doing the other half, and it's splitting it. And you have that degree again where we're seeing them overlap. Now, we got more modern. They've actually, there's things with subharmonics and stuff like that, and then lowering the floor. They can do things to change the frequency and all that kind of jazz. They get some noise out, but you're still going to have those characteristics. But that's not. I'm leaning towards the Brazilian as far as the sound.
Let me ask you this though: isn't the older Kicker higher power amplifiers that are 2 ohm, aren't they full bridge in some way?
There's a lot of full bridge.
Even the current KXA is full bridge.
JL Alpine.
Yeah, but they're full bridge, but they're using a standard design with a high dampening factor. Dampening factor.
Whereas it's just it's not Brazilian. A lot of people, like how Vega was saying in the chat, everyone thinks, full bridge, Brazilian, can't run it low, it's junk quality, whatever.
Full bridge and Brazilian's not the same thing. It just happens to be Brazilians are full bridge design. But
for sure.
Down has a better redesign that you can take the SFB 3000 versus the base 3K and the SFB.
I hate this amp so much.
Open, it's all in the transistors.
Yep.
In the drive circuit, the way they turn them on and off. The Tar Amps literally just lets it go in the middle to prevent damage to the transistors.
Yeah, it's not so much the design; it's just the quality parts that are installed, or not.
Yeah,
design a little bit because when you're programming the IC to tell it when and where to turn the power on, and to what degree. If they're telling you to kind of ramp that curve up, it's going to give you that peak to peak voltage, but it's not going to give you the responsiveness that you want.
True,
That's
absolutely. Yeah, I know. Whenever I got like some cheaper amplifier and it had more power, Cool Audio, I'm sure you've heard it. It's just like power acoustic, and it's like I was getting more power, but it just didn't even sound any better, even if I turned it down and I wasn't blaring it. You know what I mean? Because I was younger then.
Sure.
2,500 watts, but it did more than the Kenwood 1,800 watt I had. But the Kenwood sounded so much better in a way that I couldn't describe, and that's exactly what we're talking about here, And if you're looking for that, you're going to notice the difference.
People got to realize if you're going to start it, you got to stop it. If you want to be accurate, think of like a track car. If you don't put a drag car on the track, the track car is going to be able to stop just as quickly as it can speed up, and it's going to be curvy. Versus if all you want to do is go in a straight line, to hell with the brakes, put a parachute on the back.
No brake pads, no such thing as last, man.
No such thing.
And a fire extinguisher.
And a fire extinguisher. Hey,
speaking of which, that's one of the things. That's one of the things I need to install is a fire extinguisher. You never know, man. You never know.
Honestly, you never know.
I've got 3 in my truck, bro, just in case.
Right. What's a fuse? Oh man, I should have installed that.
Now
I've got fuses on the alternator. I got fuses on the power wire. There's no fuse battery to amp.
Right, same. And that's where you should have it too, But
if it's gonna blow, it's gonna blow.
Yeah, dude.
Right.
Yeah,
if you're running a solid 12 and you blow it, the fuse is not gonna help you.
Yeah,
unless you just go for it.
It's gonna desolder that from the board. If it dead shorts, whatever's soldered in there is not gonna be soldered very long. So.
No.
Okay, no joke. I had this amp. I had a little Jensen. It looked like a fish, weird thing. It was a 2 ohm stable, a class AB, and I run it for a little while, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And one day I was like, well, let me just open it up and mod it, put some LEDs in it. So I did, and I noticed that a couple of the solder joints were like non-existent. So I was like, huh. So I went and soldered everything back. Now it didn't work. Well, it turns out it had one output transistor shorted, and instead of ruining the whole bank, that one transistor shorted and melted all the solder on any of its traces along the line, blew that one, and it kept working.
Wow.
So by fixing it,
my buddy Justin's amp just had a couple caps come off the board. I think like 2 or 3 of them. And it was still playing fine. The filter caps.
Yeah. Well, you just won't have
crazy.
That. That reserve. But okay, so you guys seem pretty smart. Okay. So how about like a
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
nice. He's nice.
What the smart guys coming at? Yeah.
So
hello, fellow smart guys.
So when you run, say, AC electricity in a house, right? So you got 240 volts. So you got a hot line coming in, and you've got a neutral in the middle. Why is the neutral the same size gauge wire as the hot?
I mean, honestly, that's where the electrons flow first. They come from the ground, and go towards the battery. I mean, it almost goes backwards. But with AC, it's a little different. I'm trying to think, why is it?
Peak to peak, you have double the power.
But it's amperage. It's amperage, not volt.
Remember, I said it's power. You have double the power. That's the sum of the the product of the amperage and the voltage. Why is the middle leg the same conductor size as the outer legs? Why is it?
I don't know why.
This is big.
Oh no, I'm scared of AC.
Kip would know this. He knows about the squiggly leg on the AC run. I don't know too much about AC. I know there is that third leg though.
Okay, well, if I stumped y'all, I'll just leave it there.
Oh no, he's not even going to answer it. Come on, man. Come on. Now I'm gonna have to Google this stuff. Come on, hold on here. That's crazy. I mean,
He's
honestly,
my
guess is because only one of the positive whatever live leads is being used at one time or something like that. It's only that was a guess. Holy shit!
The AC waves are out of phase.
Okay.
Right. So as they cross the 0 point, because as you know, like a speaker output, they cross 0 and they go back down. Well, they never cross 0 at the same time. So they're never 180 out of phase.
Wow.
So only at any point in time is one phase sharing that neutral 60 times a second. 3 phases the same way. It's using that neutral line just 120 degrees farther
out
down
of phase. Wow, that makes sense.
So it's sharing that same. So the neutral is getting hammered. No matter what everything else is doing. That's why it's not twice or 3 times as big.
Sorry, I gotta put this comment up.
There you go. A little bit of theory for you.
That's awesome, man. See, that's the stuff I want to learn. I'm interested in. I know a lot of bass heads are just, they're not all just into electronics and stuff or just anything like that. And that'd be nice to know when you're rewiring your house,
Yeah. Well, I mean, but it's not, to me, it's not about that. It's about the theory. Why is it that way? Why was it designed that way? Why was it set up that way?
Right.
That's where almost everything I do goes down to theory. Why use certain kind of wood glue? Why use this? Why use that? I mean, the whole thing is down to that fine detail of why.
Right. You want to know. You want to know. You want to know why.
So
Same.
Once I figure that out, I'll tell other people, well, I've learned that this works better and this is why.
That's cool, though. It takes me back to being a kid. It's taking shit apart, I remember we changed freaking, we changed, ceiling fans in my house. I'm like, I got to figure out how this thing works. You get a screwdriver, take it all apart, and you just got to, I don't know. It took me back to that, thinking about that, how, going back to the theory thing. I've been the same way in my life, too, is taking it, figure out how stuff works and know about it.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's all part of the process, for sure. But so I just have this constant drive to just continue to learn and apply more, as I go. So
yeah. It's an addiction for sure, man. Keep doing what you're doing.
I'll be doing my own live stream deals too, So
that's why I figured, I'm like, oh man, this guy's got to come on our podcast, because usually I don't have people on my podcast, as of now I am, so yeah, but for sure, man. So I was like, I got to get him on.
Yeah, for
Pick
sure.
his brain a little bit.
Hang out. I don't mind to come back.
Yeah, we can definitely have you back sometime, man. And we actually need to be wrapping this thing up. We're over right now, and Andy's got a show here in a little bit. I know you guys got to the end with. You got any videos coming up, man? I'll let Andy you plug, and Trevor, let you do your thing, man. What you got coming up, man?
I have 5 videos in the works.
5
videos.
videos.
I don't have an editor, and I currently have a full-time job. So,
I was gonna say, what do you do for a living?
I build automated machinery.
Nice. Okay, so you're all hands in with everything.
That's what I do.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Well, cool. We're going to roll into episode 31, man. What were you saying, Casey?
Oh, hold on a minute. I was going to say we're going to be going live soon. My first prod shipment will be here Monday. So probably going to open it up, take a teaser, and then Friday or Saturday we'll probably be going live to kind of look at the products on live and stuff and answer questions and stuff. It's going to be pretty cool.
Awesome, man. Yeah, no, I jumped in on your one live, or I watched it after a little bit, of you talking about all that stuff. So, looking forward into all that stuff, man. It's gonna be awesome what you're doing.
Well, I'm gonna try
to all get together to show.
I'm gonna do a full wall build, probably somewhere around 12,000 watts with old CT right here. I'm gonna see what I can spend a copious amount of money on stuff that has no business being an SPL competition. I'm gonna do it anyways. So,
nice.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, my plug, just check my channel. I usually don't plug myself, but this show is going to be awesome with Adam and Matt about the SPL lab and just everything of how it works, man. These guys taught me a lot, and it's going to be cool. We might have some people that run Mecca, too, on there. We'll see. So it'll be a cool show. Oh, yeah. But thank you, Trevor, for joining us. It's absolutely, man.
For sure.
All good, man. All right, well, everyone, thank you for watching, and this is the Rolling Thunder Podcast. Signing out.
All right.